Ladies and gentlemen, we're just about to begin the session. I would like to introduce Zulfikar Ali Kalhoro. Please give him a round of applause. Please put your phones on silent and we're about to begin the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much for a very, very brief introduction. So, first of all, I wanted to thank the organizers of this wonderful event, particularly Razi Ahmed, who has been very kind for inviting me to this LLF 10th. So, my name is Zulfikar Ali Kalhoro. I'm an anthropologist by training, and my specialization is religion and heritage. And I have been doing research in different parts of Pakistan, particularly in south, in Sindh, north, Gilgit-Baltistan, and Potohar region in Punjab. So today's talk, The Saints and Sufis, is basically based on my recently published book. This is the basically book which came out last year, and the title of this book is Saints, Sufis and Shrines: The Mystical Landscape of Sindh. So this is published by Endowment Fund Trust for Preservation of Cultural for the Heritage of Sindh, EFT. So let me tell you, this is first in the series of 4 books that I'm writing. In this book, there are more than 50 articles on Sufi saints, shrines, and Hindu mystics. So it's not possible to discuss all the articles, but I just wanted to give you an overview of what I have discussed in this book. So my presentation would be, our talk would be on 3 important things. One is female shrines in Sindh. Second is shrines or saints with the dual identity. And third is non-Muslim saints. Because whenever we say saints, so we think that we are talking about any Sufi silsila. So this book is not just only Sufi silsila, but also about Hindu ascetics. So the first article of this book is about Kalandar. And you know, many people have written on Lal Shahbaz Kalandar. But my anthropological understanding of this cult of Kalandar is different from other scholars. So you will read when you buy this book how I have looked at the cult of Kalandar. Kalandar or Lal Shahbaz Kalandar is worshipped by both Muslims as well as Hindus. He is also he also carried dual identity. Lal Shahbaz Kalandar for Muslims and Raja Bhathari for Hindus. So interestingly, if you go to other parts of Sindh, I'm not talking about 7. If you go to Jamshoro, particularly Thano Bulla Khan area, you would be amazed to see a number of symbolic shrines that have been built by his Hindu followers. And those symbolic graves or shrines are locally called Chilaga, Kando, Astano, Khudi. So these are the terms basically which are in use in Thano Ahmad Khan, Thano Bulla Khan and other area. And interestingly, one of the most impressive structures over the symbolic grave of Lal Shahbaz Kalandar have been built at Thano Ahmad Khan recently. It is it's about 200 years old shrine, but some about 15 uh, years back, a huge complex was built where you will find in the center the grave of Lal Shahbaz Qalandar. And when you enter the main shrine, it is, you will notice three beautiful posters. In the center is the picture of Lal Shahbaz Qalandar shrines at 7, flanked by Baba Guru Nanak's picture and Lord Shiva. And this reflects syncretic traditions that we as Sindhis celebrate. So syncretic tradition is very much widespread in Sindh. Syncretic are shared. So apart from Qalandar, then we talk about Bhitai. So Sindh's identity is, when you talk about Sindhi, Sindhi means Bhitai. So it's synonymous with Bhitai's poetry. So anybody talks about Sindh Sufism, the first thing that would come to your mind is about Shah Abdul Latif Bhitai and his poetry. And I think he was the one who introduced some of, the most interesting romantic tales in his poetry to express his thought, his message. And those romantic tales actually were used as symbols, to expound a spiritual journey to God, to understand or on the path of, understanding God. But those romantic tales used by Shah Abdul Latif Bhitai, for instance, Omar Marvi, Leela Chanesar, Soni Mehar or Soni Mahiwal in Punjabi, Sasi Punno, and others influenced a dominated Sindhi culture. Now those romantic tales are culturally embedded in Sindhi society. So my interest was, I looked at how those folk tales influence Sindhi painters. I'm talking about folktale painters. They picked the theme of romantic tales and painted on the walls of the tombs. And I have written a book, separate book, discussing wall paintings of Sindh, where you will find, the beautiful representation, narratives of these folk tales on the walls of tombs. So Qalandar, Bhitai, Sachal, and so many, Shah Inayat of Jog, and so many other. But the most interesting part of this book is about, it's an introduction about lesser known shrines in Sindh. For instance, I discuss about inclusiveness or inclusivity. Sufi saints accepted those who were rejected by their own communities. For instance, let me just give you an example. If you go to Badin, there is a small town near Badin, Nindo. There's a shrine of Raj Sen Sumrani. These are basically ethnographic notes that I collected. I'm sharing with you. So I know so I don't need to open this book and, read the basically paragraph from those articles. So there's a shrine of Raj Sen Sumrani, an eminent Sorvardiya saint of 15th century. Before you enter the shrine of Raj Sen Sumrani, you will notice another beautiful domed structure, which belongs to Nuri Shikaran. Shikaran or Shikari is basically Hindu tribe, or mostly belong to, the lower castes. I mean, even upper caste Hindus don't share space with them. But it is obligatory for the followers of Rajsen Sumrani, you have to say salam first to Nuri Shikaran and then go to say salam or pray at the shrine of Rajsen Sumrani. So apart from Rajsen Sumrani, we have so many others. Jarkas Dinani in Badin. If you go to the his shrine, then you first say salam to his female follower and then to the Jarkas Dinani. And then we have other royal female ladies who patronized Sufi saints. One of the prominent names is Mai Sher Bano, who was the daughter of Mia Noor Muhammad and Mai Gula, and sister of Mia Ghulam Shah Kaloro, the founder of Hyderabad. He built an impressive structure of Abdul Hamid Bujrai near Makan in Tando Al-Hayyar. And if you go there, people will tell you this shrine complex, including various shrines, mosque, was built by Mai Sher Bano. Then we have Lal Khatun from Dando town. I mean, these stories may be unimportant for some people, but for anthropologists, these, issues which are unheard, the voices of the communities which are always unheard, are heard by anthropologists and shared with, different communities, academic as well as non-academic communities. So this is what I'm actually sharing. So I also regularly write for other times. Basically, majority of the articles in this book are from, Friday Times, which I wrote, and later basically were, it's this compilation of articles which I wrote for Friday Times. So I also wanted to thank my friend Ziad Faisal, who published articles and people read about the lesser known and shared heritage of Sindh. So apart from my Sher Bano and Lal Khatun, we have also eminent Sindhi and Baloch women who were known for their generosity, for building madrasas, mosques, masajid, madrase, and the dome structure over the graves of the saints. So now, basically, I have extended my, the work from Sindh to Pothohar. I just wanted to mention, wanted to introduce the rich tradition that we have in Pothohar as well. So I planned to write a book on female Sufi shrines of Pothohar in 2019. And then I traveled every nook and corner of Pothohar. And I was amazed to find a large number of female Sufi shrines. Anybody who is from Islamabad must visit Kirpa, a small village near Gulberg Green's housing schemes. You would see beautiful shrine complex of Hafiz Hayat Baksh, who is from Qadriya Noshai Silsila. After his death, his daughter became caretaker, Gadi Nashin, Sajada Nashin. And even Hafiz Hayat Baksh Khalifa, Ilahi Baksh, Qureshi Hashmi, whose shrine is located at Bhagwal in Chakwal, I visited several times. After his death, his daughter, Bhagbhari, became Gadi Nashin. And after Bhagbhari, Noorbhari became Gadi Nashin. And I mean, the list is very long, so I cannot share the names, but I just wanted to, introduce about this heritage that we don't celebrate. We need to discuss. We need to introduce and celebrate, which always escapes attention of the, escape attention of, media limelight. Now, let's discuss about dual identity shrines. I believe, and my research shows, anybody who knows the history, the religious history of Sindh, which is the most disputed and complex as political history is. And why Sindhs carried dual identity? For instance, Mango Pir was also called Lala Jaswal. Odirulal is known to his Muslims followers as Sheikh Tahir, even Zinda Pir. And also, is variously known as Amar Lal, Jule Lal, Darya Shah, Darya Pir. And if you go to the Pir Pato, near in Tata district, there are two important shrine complexes there. Pir Pato is known as Gopi Chand to his Hindu followers. Similarly, Jamil Shah Girnari is known to his Hindu followers as Gorakhnath. And Hindus who worship Pir Pato has built impressive temples, astanas. One of the very impressive astana which I have visited is located at Deeplo. You can go and visit in the Deeplo town. And in temple, what would you notice or see? Pictures of the shrine of Gopi Chand or Pir Pato. The miniature of cave where it is believed that, he took shelter. Why he took shelter? There's a story actually to discuss. And some other pictures of Muslim saints. So, apart from Pir Pato, Jamil Shah, Sakhi Jamil Shah, Datari or Girnari, as he's called Girnari because he came from Girnar. There are over a dozen such shrines with Dodo Naam. Shah Abdul Latif Bhittai is not known by Dusra Naam. Though there's something. So if you read Sindh's religious history, I think Ismailis were the first who used the term Pir in Sindh in order to challenge the growing influence of Ismailis. Sorvardia rose against them, challenged their growing power. And later on, persecution started of some of the Ismailis, and they practiced taqiyya. And they never ever shared their true identity to anyone except a few trusted followers. And they used to preach in the garb of a yogi, nath, or a Sufi. Otherwise, if this is this was typical mode of conversion of Ismailis. They carried dual identities. Even Pir Sadruddin, who is buried at Uch, he has second name. He was known as a Padalad. And his son, who is buried at Tandobago, also carried Hindu name. So this was a very interesting actually. So this shared culture that we have seen, I spent several years in understanding this complex, shared, rich mystic traditions. And even Amir Pir, one of the popular shrine in Sindh, is also known as Raja Veer, Vikramaditya. There are several symbolic shrines of Amir Pir in different parts of Sindh. But most important one is at Thano Ahmad Khan. Hindus have built temples of Amir Pir Raja Veer, but Ismailis of Amir Pir, the shrine overlooks the beautiful lake Kincher. So there you can see his shrine. So now let's discuss about some of the Hindu shrines in Sindh, which I've discussed in this book. There are 4 important Hindu ascetic orders or renunciatory orders in Sindh: Nath, Puri, Giri, sometimes Gar or Gur in Sindh, and Bharti. So we have many shrines which belong to these, one of these ascetic orders. In Shikarpur, we have Shankar Bharti. In Thano Bula Khan, we have Mangalgir. Islam Court, we have Puran Bharti. Now there is a ashram of another, saint who is basically connected to Dado Mehkan Kapdi Sant tradition. Dado Mehkan Kapri's 2 followers or chief disciples were Paru Fakir, as we call in Sindhi, or Parbaram, whose samadhi is located at Veri Jhap in Deeplo. And then there is another in Hathungo. So the ashram of Nenu Ram, which was earlier known as Puran Bharti, was connected to the cult of the Dado Mehkan Kapadi. I mean, Kapadi is like another interesting ascetic order which is connected to Nath traditions. If you read Bhetai's poetry, 2 of the surs, so Ramkali and Khahodi, are basically exclusively dedicated to these Hindu ascetics, where Bhetai calls them Kapri, Kanphatta, Kanchir. When you cut your ear or pierce your ear, so Kankata, Kapri, Kanchir, Babhutia, Dothi, Mahesians, they are a very interesting sectarian affiliation that Bhetai has given in 2 of his surs. But apart from 2 surs, there are also some other surs of Bhetai's poetry where we also found some references about Nath yogis. But the first Sufi poet who discussed in detail before Bhetai, Shah Abdul Latif Bhetai, was Mio Shah Inayat, whose shrine is located at Nasarpur. It was he who said in Sindhi, I just wanted to say in English so that you understand. He says that if you wanted to learn manners and norms and values of your tradition, what Vedhi Veer Nath ji, go and learn from Veer Nath. And where is Veer Nath buried? At Ratokot in Khipro, Tehsil in Sangar district. It is known as Rato Kotaji Madhi. So it is one of the important Nath shrines or temples in Sindh. And there, from that particular Veer Nath, then we have a long, list of his disciples who spread his teachings and thought and ideology as far as Multan and other parts of Punjab. So now it is called Veer Nathi tradition. So this is interesting tradition, and I have separately written 2 research papers which I presented somewhere on the Veer Nathi tradition in Sindh. So apart from Hindu ascetics, Muslim mystics I also discuss about Udasis. Who are Udasis? You know, those, Sikh religion is, broadly speaking, Sikh religion is divided into two uh, main sects, Khalsa and Udasi. And Udasi basically is claim their spiritual ancestry from Baba Sri Chand, the eldest son of Guru Nanak. And it is believed that he founded Udasi Panth. Udasi, is, as you know, that is a Sanskrit word derived from Udasin, detached from the word. It's like as North renounce the word, so they follow the same tradition of the renouncing the word. So Baba Sri Chand traveled to Sindh, and there are two famous dhonis. Dhonis means campfires. So the first, if you renounce the word, so how would people know that you have renounced the word? So in order to publicly announce that you have renounced the word, you will establish or set up a dhoni, or as we call in Sindhi, dhoni. So dhoni dukhaye ve. So you will establish a dhoni, a campfire, and that basically creates your identity that, okay, now this is either Udasi or maybe one way or other connected to North tradition. So when he traveled to Sindh, I'm talking about Baba Sri Chand, he first visited Rohdi. The first dhoni of Baba Sri Chand is located now at Khoshi Ram Darbar in Rohdi, and another one is located at Fakir Jugot in Tata. That is the most popular Udasi shrines in Sindh. So wherever you go, you would see Darbar. And there is interesting debate, which I have discussed somewhere else. Dargah and Darbar. What is the difference between Dargah and Darbar? The term Darbar is used here in Punjab for, the Sufi saints, but Sindh it is not used for Sufi saints. Exclusively for Nanak Panthis. Because if you go to any Darbar, you will observe Hindu deities and Guru Granth Sahib in same place. So anybody who is not familiar with the religious history of Sindh would be confused that, is it a temple, Gurudwara, or what is it? So I have discussed a lot actually, and presented somewhere, and I called it is half Gurudwara and half Darbar, because you place when you place Guru Granth Sahib, you cannot place other deities. So it's typically the Nanak Panthi influences of Udasis that basically the Hindus have adopted. So Halani Darbar is one of the very popular Udasi Darbar in Sindh. Then even Sadh Belo, I'm sure that many of you who are sitting here might have heard about Sadh Belo or Sadhu Belo. It is actually Udasi Darbar, founded by Baba Bankhandi, or also known as a Vankhandi, who came all the way from Nepal. And we have a history that some of Udasi saints from Fakir Jugot Thatta went to preach in Nepal and other parts of India and Punjab. And then, many followers came and settled in Sindh. So I think I want you to ask me more, because it's not possible to discuss each and everything. I think this is a catalog about Sindh's lesser known Sufi heritage. It's about, I have laid the foundation of lesser known Sufi or mystic tradition in Sindh that I believe that somebody else will carry out my research further, because each of the articles is from my field research and which is supported by secondary sources. And when I was writing this, I found many references on some of the popular Sufi saints and shrines. And then I dedicated this book to the eminent scholars of Sindh, Dr. N.A. Baloch. So this book is basically dedicated to Dr. Baloch's untiring efforts in documenting Sindh's history, culture, literature. So this is all that I wanted to share with you. Now I wanted to open the floor for questions, because I think that there may be interesting questions from you to respond, rather than I will speak more on this book.
Good evening. I missed a substantial part of your talk, so I'm apologizing for that. But
Can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Arusha, and I'm just sort of superficially interested in Sufism and archaeology.
That would be then a dangerous question actually coming from you.
So,
superficial.
But I'm sure you can do justice to it. My question really is about, I know syncretism these days is a bad word to use, but again, what would you say, or what have you found in your research, and what have you written about the pre-Islamic history of Sindh and the archaeological remains today from the past? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Thank you very much for a very interesting question. Yes, there are earlier survivals on Sufi traditions. We can't say that we don't have. We have a Buddhist and Jain, influences on Sufis, on Nath traditions. So, if you want me to discuss in detail, I think I need one more hour to discuss on, these Buddhist traditions and Jain traditions, because I have separately written a lot actually. So if you wanted to need more information, just you Google my name and you will find a lot of on these traditions, particularly in Buddhist. I have written a lot on Buddhist traditions, particularly Buddhist stupas in Sindh and Buddhist heritage in Sindh. Of course, when you are discussing different religious communities, even Parsiyon ka bhi bahut asar hai. When you talk about campfire, dhoni, you see, yes. Yes, he says you when you read, we will meet and discuss again. So a lot has been discussed actually. So this is, it's not just, I have not described, I have interpreted. So I have looked at every space with my anthropological lens, through my anthropological lens. So nothing escaped from my anthropological gaze. So, when you're an anthropologist, you have small things to, take notice and give details. But they are not, anthropologists are different. They are not biased. We say, this cult is different from that one. We don't criticize them. Interpret them. Yes, I think this is then the issues of reflexivity. Anyways, let's take another question.
ओके मैं पूछना ये चाहूँगा कि
पता लगे जी।
मेरा नाम अब्दुल हादी है, मैं सालकोट से हूँ, बैंक में काम करता हूँ। मैं आपसे पूछना ये चाहूँगा कि आजकल में हम देखते हैं कि हमारे बेशक मुसलमानों के अंदर भी बहुत से फ़िरका हैं और उनमें भी आपस में बहुत नफ़रत है, और उसके अलावा हम गैर मुसलमानों से भी बहुत नफ़रत करते हैं। लेकिन जिस तरह आपने बताया कि जो सिंध के सूफ़ी और सेंट हैं, मतलब उनमें वो क्या खसूसियात थी कि उन्होंने मुख्तलिफ़ मज़ाहब के लोगों को भी इकट्ठा करके दिखाया? वो क्या खसूसियात हैं जो हम सीख सकते हैं उनसे, कि हम अपने इस माशरे को कम अज़ कम के हम इतनी नफ़रत को ख़त्म कर सकें?
थैंक यू वेरी मच। बहुत अच्छा सवाल पूछा। देखो, सबसे बहुत ज़्यादा चीज़ें इन्होंने एडवोकेट की हैं, बहुत चीज़ें बताई हैं, लेकिन सबसे ज़्यादा जो इम्पोर्टेंट है ना, वो है बर्दाश्त, टॉलरेंस। एंड बेसिकली सूफियों का सबसे ज़्यादा लव, हारमनी, बट टॉलरेंस एट द टॉप, कि बर्दाश्त जो है ना वो दैट इज़ इम्पोर्टेंट। अगर आप बर्दाश्त फिर आप देखें दूसरे को नहीं सुनेंगे तो बात नहीं ख़त्म होती। तो सूफियों ने यही कहा है। और आप देखेंगे, अगर आप पढ़ें ना हिस्ट्रीज़, सिंध की जो हिस्ट्रीज़ हैं उसमें आप देखेंगे जो मुस्लिम सूफी सेंट्स हैं वो बैठे हैं जो नाथ जो योगीज हैं उनके साथ, दे हैड इंटरेस्टिंग रिलीजियस डिस्कोर्सेस। बहुत सारी जगह हैं वो कहते हैं जी अच्छा ये वीरनाथ की थी तो यहाँ आके आपस में इनका डिस्कोर्स हुआ। अगर वो ज़्यादा यानी कि उनके पास नॉलेज था तो उन्होंने कहा अच्छा ठीक है मैं यहाँ से चला जाता हूँ। तो इसीलिए ये चीज़ें हमने डिस्कस ही नहीं की कि ये जो बर्दाश्त है उसको समझने की ज़रूरत है। और सूफीज़ ने यही चीज़ें जो है ना और वैल्यूज़ के साथ बर्दाश्त जो है ना वो बहुत ज़्यादा उसको फोकस किया कि वी नीड टू बी tolerant to other communities. This is the basically first lesson that we learn from as a scholars from Sufis and their teachings: love, harmony, and tolerance. जी माइक दे रहे हैं
Sir,
आप प्लीज पूछें आप।
sir, it was pleasure listening to you, to your enlightening thoughts. My name is Abdul Haseem Mangi. I'm Shikarpur ko aaya. Just for the audience, I said that I belong to Shikarpur in Sindhi. So, sir, like
And there is an article on the Alvi
yeah,
in
elevates.
this
Yeah, I've been to
and
the
Naqshbandi,
old
yes.
house.
You will read
So, sir,
Fakir
like,
Alvi.
yeah, I've got two questions to ask. First is that you know majorly focused on the Sikhs and you know Hindus and Muslims and how you know these sort of communities used to worship the saints in their own way, the multiple identities of a saint by different names. So like did you find any sort of you know other communal sort of identities relating to Jainism and Buddhism? Like I've you know seen stupas of Buddhists in Swat and other regions, but I've not you know heard. I've just heard about one in Nawabshah. And you know Jains in Thar Parker are very famous, but like did you work on them in
I
that
understood your
aspect?
question. Thank you. I think you're right, Sawat. There are a lot of interesting Buddhist influence on Sawat's religious traditions on present culture. But as far as Sindh is concerned, I think there are many stupas in Sindh, apart from the one that you discussed, Nawab Shah, which is locally called Mi Rukon Jo Thull. But there is also Suderan Jo Thull near Saidpur Takkar. There was a Kahu Jo Dado near Mirpur Khas. There was also a beautiful stupa from where archaeologists excavated beautiful, you know, terracotta tablets depicting Buddha in various postures, you know. So, you know, Buddha and Bodhisattva. So, be it Avalokiteshvara or Bodhisattva Maitreya, even from Damra Jo Dado in Ladakana. So, list is long actually, Maksi Saab.
Mangi.
And
Mangi.
sorry, Mangi. So, list is long actually. So, yes, Buddhist and Jain traditions are very visible on Sufi traditions, but that have not yet earlier been discussed by any scholars. I have discussed.
Sir, the other question I would be very brief.
एक question बहुत नहीं
Sir,
है?
एक और. I
और
would
लोग
be
हैं।
very brief. Sir, you know, I've like read about Indus Valley civilization, and there were like some remnants of Shivism practiced there. So like when Sufism arrived in Sindh, it sort of there was synthesis of you know the Kalandariya thought and the local you know Hindu customs. But how do you see the Chishtiya and the other orders practice in Punjab? Was there Shivism and these orders like synthesized, or was there some kind of other?
देखो, I don't see anything as a part of Shivaism. There is a survivals. This is important to note, take note of. So see, when you say, you know, the Indus Valley Shiva, that was a, you know, the beast surrounded, you know, the Lord beast surrounded by the different animals, Pashupati. So you talk about Pashupati, and now, I mean, they're two different things. Yes, influences are there, but we can't say that Shiva was dominant in every mystic tradition. Yes, he was dominant in North tradition. He's the first guru. When you talk about North traditions, first guru, you know, the Gorakhnath, everyone say that Shiva is the first guru, then Gorakhnath, Kanipao, Mashandarnath, and so other gurus. So, yes, influence is there. Third question? No?
Assalamu alaikum.
Ji. Can you please?
May I ask a question? السلام علیکم.
جی جی واسطہ.
میرا نام علی ہے جی اور روحانیت میں دلچسپی رکھتا ہوں.
اچھا گڈ.
میرا آپ کا سوال ہے سنکرٹزم اور برداشت سے متعلق، اور اس میں شاید اس میں تبدیلیوں کے حوالے سے سندھ میں سننے میں خبریں یہ آتی ہیں کہ مطلب اکثر خبر آتی ہے کہ کسی ہندو لڑکی کو اغوا کیا گیا ہے اور اس کی جبراً شادی کر دی گئی ہے اور جبراً اس کو مسلمان کر دیا گیا ہے. اور یہ بھی سننے میں آتا ہے کہ تحریک لبیک الیکشنز میں کامیابی حاصل کر رہے ہیں سندھ میں. تو میرا سوال آپ سے یہ تھا کہ آپ کو کس حد تک لگتا ہے کہ سندھ میں سنکرٹزم اور برداشت کو خطرہ ہے؟
میرے خیال میں دیکھو سندھ میں شروع سے ہی اس طرح کی چیزیں آتی رہی ہیں، کوئی خطرہ نہیں ہے سندھ کی جو یہ مسٹک ٹریڈیشنز ہیں اس کو. ابھی بھی دیکھو یہ جو آپ کہتے ہو کہ یہ پولیٹیکل کوشچن پوچھا آپ نے، تو میں اس کا پھر پولیٹیکل جواب نہیں دیتا ہوں. اب یہ جو اڈیرو لال جو شرائن ہے وہاں آپ اس میں ایک آرٹیکل ہے گارڈینز آف سیکرڈ ہیریٹیج. اب آپ وہاں جائیں تو مسلمان کہتا ہے کہ جی یہ میرا ہے، ہندو کہتا ہے کہ یہ میرا ہے، لیکن وہ تو لڑتے نہیں اس پہ، ورنہ تو قتل ہو چکے ہوتے، کتنے لوگ ہو چکے یعنی کہ مر چکے ہوتے. لیکن ایسا نہیں ہے. اور مدرسہ پہلے بھی تھا، یہ سمجھنے کی ضرورت ہے آپ کو. جو ابھی ہم تھوڑا نا مس انڈرسٹینڈ کر رہے ہیں کہ جی کچھ لوگ یہ مجھ سے بہت پوچھتے ہیں کہ یہ کیا ہے، مدرسے بہت زیادہ بن رہے ہیں تو یہاں کوئی سندھی جو سوسائٹی ہے یا اس کی جو فیبرک ہے اس کو خطرہ ہے. ایسا نہیں ہے، مدرسہ پہلے بھی تھا، ابھی بھی ہے. اور وہ جو نقش بندی سلسلہ ہے پہلے بھی تھا، ابھی بھی ہے. زیادہ برانچز ہو گئی ہیں، زیادہ اسپریڈ ہو گیا ہے. پہلے ایک سلسلہ ڈومینیٹ کرتا تھا، اب کوئی اور کر رہا ہے. لیکن اب یہ چیزیں چلتی ہیں. اب ہسٹری اٹھا کے دیکھ لیں سندھ کی تو اس میں تو یہ بلڈ لیٹنگ اور ایک قبیلہ آیا دوسرے نے لے لیا، ہم نے رول کیا تو ہم سے ٹالپورس نے لے لیا. اب یہ تھوڑی ہے کہ میں یہ لکھوں. اب دیکھو نا، ہم اس پرسپیکٹو سے دیکھتے ہیں جو باہر کے لوگ لکھتے ہیں. میں اپنا لوکل پرسپیکٹو بتاتا ہوں. لوگ لکھتے ہیں کہ جی ٹالپورس بیکار تھے. کس لیے بیکار تھے؟ انہوں نے کام کیا، اتنا زیادہ کام کیا، لیکن آپ نے ثابت ہی یہی کرنا ہے کہ وہ غلط تھے. جیسے آپ نے ہور موومنٹ کے ساتھ کیا کہ جی وہ تو ٹیررسٹ تھے، تو پھر اس کے بعد بات ہی ختم ہو گئی. تو اس لیے اٹس امپورٹنٹ دیٹ دیر شوڈ بی اے لوکل وائس دیٹ نیڈ ٹو بی ہرڈ. اور اس لیے میں بیٹھا ہوں جو آپ کو یہ چیزیں بتا رہا ہوں کہ ایسا نہیں ہے. باقی جہاں تک شادیوں کی بات ہے، دیکھیں وہ تو شادیاں ہر جگہ ہوتی ہیں، خوشی سے بھی ہوتی ہے، زبردستی بھی ہوتی ہے. ہم بھی کراتے ہیں زبردستی، راضی نہیں ہوتی تو بھی ہم کہتے ہیں کہ جی زبردستی شادی کرا دیتے ہیں. جی
I have a question to you, but some similarity, but in different context. We see that, and you have also said it in your lecture, that there is a lot of tolerance and there is a lot of acceptability for shrines from virtually all religions, right? And we have also seen that the people of Sindh in particular, and generally all over the country, when it comes to different shrines, and even people who do not belong to the religion of Islam, they frequent them, they visit them, and they do all kinds of. But what I find contradictory is that while there is a lot of acceptability for those people who have no more in this world, people who follow them, they are somewhat persecuted in Pakistan. Let us accept it as a reality. The minorities do not get the treatment that the religious leaders of those minorities get, and the respect that is given to them by the people at large, particularly in Sindh, that is not accorded to the people who are there now from those similar. What is the reason of that contradiction? Is it a failure of the society, or is it a failure of the system?
Fawaz Sultan, I think there were persecution in the past as well. We are missing the important part of the history. We can't say that now in modern times we have a persecution about minorities. I talked about Ismailis. One of the reasons why they adopted taqiyya, because of persecution. And there were other minorities who were persecuted. So I believe that, yes, tolerance is always there. So I would not say that these members of minority communities are not persecuted. They are, but in past they were also persecuted, and Ismaili was the one. There were many others, but just I wanted to give one example from the history of Sindh. जी 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 उनको दे दें, लाचारी साहब को दे दें, उन्होंने उनका तो ज़रूरी सवाल है.
Frankly, to me, it seemed that you're being a little evasive. Yes, there have been violence in the past also. The world has never been absolutely peaceful. But still, by and large, the subcontinent hold very syncretic, pluralistic traditions of coexistence. And it's only in the recent past that we see this going in, shambles. Particularly in our regions, I'm not saying Sindh as much as Punjab and other places, but our lands, which are known to be Sufi lands and imbibing that culture and values, why is it that today we are known as the most violent, aggressive, and even I would use the word terrorist kind of a society? So there's such a huge disconnect. It seemed that from one end of curve, we have come to the other. And if you think this has been happening always, then okay, my question is answered.
Yes, I think interesting question, but difficult to respond. When you say that there is no history of the violence in the subcontinent, I think there is. No, yes, religious persecution was also there. And I give you the example of the Ismaili community. This is one of the reasons that they adopted taqiyya. Why they adopted taqiyya? You're not understanding my point actually. I, give an overview of, even if I'm Sunni and I'm converted to Shia, I will also convert my grandfather who's, was worshipped as a Sorvardiya. Later on he will become a Shia because I also adopted another, sect. So, yes, interesting question. Thank you very much. I think it's time. Thank you very much.